I just think, Ronnie, when I think about how lucky I was to be at the right place at the right time in 1965, I got hired as a junior high coach to go to Highland Junior High. And from then, after a couple of years, I moved up to the high school and coached the sophomore basketball and football, and then eventually up to the varsity. And that's in basketball and football. That's when I remember, you were a guy that made All-State and probably both of them, maybe not in basketball, but you were a quality athlete, and track, didn't matter, you were there.
Well, thank you for the kind words there. Tell us a little bit from coach's side about Doug Etheridge and some of the other coaches, Coach Brandon, Charlie Williams, and how the coaching, how they want us boys to act and respond and just how was he coaching? What was his so special about his coaching techniques?
Ronnie, one of the first things that Coach Etheridge did when he was hired at Hobbs, had a coaches meeting, and one of the first things that he said was, here's an offensive play sheet, had all the assignments. Here's our defensive playbook. But the main thing that I got out of that meeting at that point was how he wanted us to talk and communicate with the kids, the kind of language that we were going to be using. And if a kid made a mistake, tell him what he did wrong. You don't have to just chew him out and just make him to where he hates to come to practice and be a part of the game. That really sticks in my mind, is what he wanted us to develop as young men, as well as being good athletes.
And Coach, that's what we got out of it as the players, and we respected y'all. There wasn't any yelling and screaming and cussing, and we'd run through the brick wall because we respected that, and y'all respected us, and that was so special.
After I was with Coach Etheridge for 14 years, and after I, went to a few other places, a couple of schools in the Houston area and one school in the Grand Prairie area, working for other coaches, believe me, it's not that way everywhere you go. The language and some of those things, they're different. I was at Port Neches Groves for 9 years with Coach Etheridge. And a lot of guys, a lot of our players from Hobbs, they wouldn't even have known where Port Neches Groves High School was. It was right between Beaumont and Port Arthur, far southeast Texas. We were a 5A school. Well, back then it was 4A. That was the biggest class they had. And we were able to defeat Odessa Permian in a state championship in 1975.
What kind of reception did you get from the community when you brought home that state championship? Was there parades?
I can't tell you.
Lined up south of Lovington and had a car all the way, didn't they?
Yep.
They brought us all the way from about Lovington.
Yep. And when we left to go, a lot of times when we'd leave to go out of town, there would be a policeman escort a lot of times, and a lot of the fans go along with us, Ronnie.
Well, Coach, if you remember, in all our paper clippings, 9,000 people at
exactly.
the football stadium.
Exactly.
9,000 people.
Yep.
Did you know that you had a state champion caliber team? Were you?
Yes, I felt like that we had that type of athletes, and it just so happened that when you put kids with character along with a lot of ability, then you know that you've always got a chance, and that's the way I always felt with these guys.
That must be the greatest job in the world.
Oh, without a doubt. I was luckiest coach, assistant coach that I ever came across was me to be at the right place with Coach Etheridge and Coach Tasker. I coached as an assistant under two coaches that are Hall of Fame coaches, Hall of Honor. Everybody knows what Coach Tasker did, and Ronnie was a part of that. A lot of people know what Coach Etheridge has done. State championship in New Mexico, state championship in Texas, and was president of the High School Coaches Association in Texas. That's tens of thousands of coaches over there. That's not just football coaches. That's tennis, golf, swimming, every coach in the state. He was the main guy.
What I'm getting at is that you guys had such an impact on these players. I mean, here this guy is, he was the stud athlete of New Mexico, and he's emotional 40 years later talking about it. Did you have any idea you were having that kind of impact on these lives?
Not at that time. No, not at all. I have talked with Kevin Weezer a number of times, and Bobby Kelly, and like I mentioned, a few other players, and it's kind of the same thing. I am a little bit like my mother, rest her soul. She would become emotional when I was a kid growing up. I would ask, what's the matter with you? And now I'm the same way.
I am
So
too.
is he.
Yeah.
But that's okay, this is a special occasion.
That's true. Very
How does
special.
it make you feel to have all these guys?
Very honored just to be a part of it, for him to even think about me to be here. Thumbs up. Especially liked it when Coach Etheridge would call 319. That is when our guards would pull. Ronnie would fake the fullback, fake the tailback the other way, then keep it around on the backside. Two guards out in front. No telling how many hundreds of yards that you made in that season, running just that play, as well as the sprint out pass series. You'd sprint out, and if they were covered, I knew what you was going to do with it. You was going to take it to the house.
How long since you've seen each other?
Since 1971.
Yep. It's first time.
Does he look the same?
Not quite.
You mean
Not
I'm not
quite.
175 pounds no more, huh?
And I'm not 165. I was 165, I think, when I was coaching there back then. I did marry a good cook.
Well, I've got a good cook too. So.
Coach Williams, I'm sure glad you're here.
Thank you.
You know, you were my coach, and not only in football, but baseball too. You know that already.
Yes,
So,
sir.
what do you remember about our football team?
Since y'all invited me here, I've been thinking a lot about the Hobbs Eagles. One of the things two things come out when you think about the 70, 71, and 72 ball clubs is, one, they had a common goal, and it really didn't matter who did much. They just wanted to win. And second, they came to work every day.
Yeah.
Every day. It was easy to coach you guys because you didn't care who got the credit. You just wanted to win. And you had and the success that you've had as adults could be predicted from that time.
You are held in such high esteem by all your players. I don't know a player that has anything against you. They love you. Okay. What was your secret to your success?
I was just so happy to coach. And when I came to Hobbs to coach great kids in a great school district, it was so great to work for Mr. Tidings, Mr. Welch, Coach Wells, Coach Etheridge, Coach Tone. I don't know. It was just everything that I did, I'd picked up from somebody else.
Of all the games you coached, what's the most memorable game that you coached in?
Oh, there's no doubt. I can tell you that.
Which one?
Carlsbad in 1972. It validated me as a coach.
So the game we played on our turf, right, not the
Yes.
one in our Carlsbad.
That's right.
We won 22-21.
That's
right?
exactly right.
That was a great game. So
It was, because whenever Coach Tone called the play that ran for 2-point conversion, we had never practiced it. We had never discussed it in a coaching meeting. The system that Coach Etheridge and Coach Tone, Coach Ellis brought in from Monahans in 1968, you guys had run since you were in the 7th or 8th grade. And we ran the play because it was the offense.
yeah.
And it was that's such a great memory.
What did you love about coaching in Hobbs, the town of Hobbs? What did they bring to the table that you liked?
Oh, the community spirit. And you go out there to a ball game, it must have fired you guys up. We'd go out to warm up, and the stands would be filling up. Then we'd go back in, and when we came back out,
They were full.
they were full. And people wanted Coach Wells to sell more season tickets, but he wouldn't do it because he wanted there always be a demand for basketball also the same way. The community, they love the winner. They love to win.
I understand. Remember that
What
was-
about you? How'd you feel about winning?
Oh, I love to win. That's why you coach. Honored to coach with people like Coach Etheridge, Coach Clearman, Pat Tone, Kyle Ellis, George James. But I'm most honored for you guys to call me coach.
Oh, that was our honor, Coach. We were fortunate. I really do believe sometimes the best thing that happened to us is that we were at the right place at the right time. I mean, I was surrounded by great athletes, and I was just kind of tagging along for the ride. And I mean, I just think back now and think about that. I think, golly, I was at the right place at the right time, and I'm so grateful for that.
Well, I think as coaches were too. It was a good time to coach in America. It's a great to coach football.
Yeah.
It's a great American game.
Well, I tell you what, we start off for the people watching this and we've talked about this, is that the influence you and the other coaches made on our lives.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, y'all were good kids, Arnold, to start with. Y'all had good habits. I'm serious. You had good habits. You were raised right. You knew what to do.
Well, and that's a good thing, and we did, but we still needed guidance from someone, because all of us at that age had that fork in the road, and we could either go this way and be bad, or we could stay on a good road. And Coach Tone, Coach Graves, Coach Ellis, y'all served as a father and a mentorship to some that didn't have quite, because all of us didn't come from, everybody didn't have great families.
Well, I understand that, but you had your basic background, and that's the main thing, I think.
Well, and
all of them.
you said before, you said, well, y'all made it kind of easy because you had good athletes. But
That's
then
right.
again, good athletes can't achieve anything unless you have good coaching that can bring it. And we talked last night, a bunch of us, and I think Lynn Weber might have summed it up. Lynn and Don Girth talked to Don on the phone. You guys got every bit of talent out of us we had.
Well, you played hard, but I'm telling you, that's an easy coaching job for me. I think you had a lot of good things going on.
Well, we talked about kind of like the perfect storm. We had a good group of guys come from Heiser, Highland, and Houston, all came together at one time.
Yeah.
And we talked about other things such as y'all never yelled at us, you never cussed at us. If you did something wrong, we were told what it was, we were told how to correct it, and went on. And
We did not use
no,
bad language. We did not. That's one of the rules. The only thing bad language, shows that you don't have a very good upbringing, or you're not supposed to cuss. What is it that they say? Bad language, just lack of knowledge, or?
yeah.
Well, everything that we do was done in the proper manner. I mean, the way you're supposed to do it. We didn't cuss at kids. We might have yelled on occasions, some things, but we didn't kick them. We didn't do things that are out of the ordinary. Now, all coaches aren't that way,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
but my coaches did. But we knew that's the way you're supposed to bring kids up. I mean, we knew that's the way you're supposed to treat kids. Treat them the right way. Treat them like you want to be treated. What we did, we liked the things we did offensively and defensively, but you know, everyone had access to anything that you can use. But I liked our plan. We had a good plan. You know, I had been to a couple of smaller schools. Hobbs was a large school. You know, the thing about it, to accomplish something at Hobbs, they had always supposedly had great athletes, I'd heard, and they did have some good athletes. They weren't all playing football, but they had some good athletes, but we had good athletes in football too while we were there. And they played hard, and they did what you asked them to do, for the most part.
Yeah, we were, like I said, everybody was pretty good kids.
My knowledge of.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did otherwise. You know, I always loved Hobbs. Loved the kids there. Had a great time, great teams, and it's totally exciting to see all of them.
Not only the other life lessons, but a lot of people went into coaching and professions that you guys brought along to us. And you know, when this thing came about, we was like, yeah, I mean, we found people that we hadn't. I'd been looking for certain people for years, and we've got a lot of people here together. But it's basically to pay tribute to you guys for what you've done for us. And here it is, 40-something years later. But as I tell people, I can go back and I can tell you my first coach from boys club football through everything. You don't ever forget your coaches. You just don't do that. You know who they were, what they did, and it's just been great. We've just had a great time. One of the highlights of my career, not as a player, but after the job, is Coach getting to present me with an award at the Coaches Association. That's a big thing.
Of course, that's what I was going to say. The group, one of the proudest moments I had when I was president of the Texas High School Coaches Association is when they told me I had to give a plaque to Arnold Thomas, the trainer, the Texas High School Trainer of the Year. And here I am, Arnold Thomas. I know Arnold Thomas. That's one of the proudest moments I've had, knowing I coached Arnold and that I got to give him a plaque in front of the Texas High School Coaches Association general meeting.
And you always knew he was going to turn out great, didn't you?
I was always hoping.
Well, I've told this story that happened to me. It was when Coach called me in as a junior and said, you know, you could probably play on varsity, but you're going to sit the bench and back up a kicker. He said, or you can play JV ball and play all the time. And I said, I'll opt for the JV ball, and that's where I knew how to play, but that's where I really learned to play the game. And so for my accomplishments, anything our year that we won the state and I got some accolades for stuff like that, is because he's told me you're either going to play or not play. And
I don't remember that.
I can tell you right now, you called in me and Don Girth and Tommy Blandon and a couple others, and we all said, Coach, we'd rather play on the JV ball and play every down and learn. And then the next year we all started.
Well, it paid off, didn't it?
It paid off.
That's good. I don't remember that. That's good. Guy that makes all state and doesn't even play on the varsity as a junior. I'd say that's pretty phenomenal.
Well, I think a lot of it was coaching.
I don't recognize a lot of them, I'll tell you that, but I do know a lot of them, sure. You know, it's been a long time since, 40-something years since I left Hobbs. So 40 years is a pretty long time to remember everybody and what they look like. And I can tell you this, some of them have changed a lot more than others.
Well, and like I said,
Okay, is this your second year at Hobbs High School?
Coming up, it'll be the second year. Yes, sir.
What are your plans?
Well, we have we spent this off season really intense in the weight room. When I got to Hobbs, our just physical strength wasn't where it needed to be, you know. So this off season we've really concentrated on that. The whole first year though, then during the season we spent a lot of time building up relationships with the kids, you know. So doing stuff in the weight room is something that's not very comfortable for them. And you know, if they don't trust what you're telling them, and when you're a new guy coming in, you know, you got to have their trust first. And so I think we've done a great job of doing that, and we're doing a good job in the weight room.
How many kids do you expect you're going to have out this year?
Well, from 10th through 12th grade, we're going to be at about 140, and then with our freshmen, we'll be right at about 200 kids.
Wow, that's awesome. So, you're getting the numbers back up there that we saw when we were young.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've kind of we're throwing the ball a lot now, which, you know, when they turn on the TV, college football, that's what they see, and the NFL's doing a lot of that too now, and so and then that's what we're doing. You know, we don't huddle, and we have signals, and they're going fast, and so that's pretty attractive for a teenager these days.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I had the pleasure of meeting you a few months ago through Pat McMurray, one of the players on the 72 team.
Right.
And, you know, it's one of the things that came across immediately is that you wanted to find that tradition that once was really in a big place, you know, back when I had the opportunity of playing for the Hobbs Eagles. Kind of what are your plans to help develop that tradition? It's a different time, you know, kids have a lot going on these days.
A lot going on.
That, you know, where we had football, I always said we had football girls in school.
Yeah.
So now they've got all of that plus 14,000 other things.
Well, we, you know, I feel like it takes 3 years to build a solid program. And of course, when we got there, we had to teach them the football stuff first. Right. But now I think we're starting to do that. The kids are picking that up. We starting to get strong, and now we're moving through with that process of we got to educate them and let them know this is what happened. I took them all in the hallway the other day. As a matter of fact, when you were there, and we got the pictures, you know, from those early '70s off the wall. I went back in and got the trophies out. When I took those trophies from, you know, '70, '71, '72 out of the trophy case, that left a big dent in the trophy case. And so I took the kids in there, and I showed them this is what one group of guys can do, and it was obvious to them being able just to look into the trophy case and see how empty it was, and that was just from one group of guys. And so I think educating them, you know, and letting them know, you know, because of course they're really not going to know in case you tell them, and that's why I'm so excited to be here.
I think there's something that's really cool. One of those young men, the linebacker, he's a linebacker for you guys, helped me carry this stuff out that day, and he looked at me and he said, "You part of these teams?" I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "It must have been cool winning those state championships." I said, "You know what's cooler?" He said, "No, what's cooler?" And I said, "Being able to have friends for over 40 years." Yeah. You know, now that we're gathered here in Arlington, Texas, you know, we've got 40-something people here, I think, and some of the best coaches that Hobbs High ever had. What are you going to take back from that?
You know what? I've just sitting here today and watching the interviews that have taken place we haven't even started yet, and it's been a great experience already, you know, just for me, and talking about being able to teach the history of Hobbs football to the kids. You know, got to know it myself, and so you guys putting this whole thing together it's amazing, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
You know, it's amazing.
I had always loved football, played football, and I always wanted to coach football, and no one would give me a real chance. And so I took this opportunity, and I'm glad I did. Enjoyed it immensely. And of course, your lower level coaches always do all the scouting, and so I tried to make myself pretty much an expert, if you will, in that area. And doing that, I put a lot of miles on a lot of school cars over the years. And high school sports goes in cycles.
Given that theory, do you think that the cycle's coming around for football?
I think it might be. I think it might be. And I think Coach Cleghorn I think he's, after I talked to him last night at the banquet, I got a real understanding of where he's coming from. And of course, being taught how to coach with Coach Etheridge, he sounds almost like Coach Etheridge. Well, I was so honored to be accepted like that last night. I didn't sleep much last night thinking about all of that. I could not believe that from that long a time of not being around them, that all of the coaches
all four of us that were there, we couldn't believe it that they really thought that much of us. You know, I really don't know how to express it. It's just, it has blown me away that they still thought that much of us. You know, and I don't know. I sat there and wiped tears off all the way through that thing, and I'm really one of those type of people that controls emotions pretty good, but I had to let it go last night.
Gotta make a guy feel pretty good.
Yes, very good. And especially then meeting all those guys and how successful they've become themselves. That's what really is great about the whole thing. And so anyway, I was deeply honored that they did this, and I don't know any other way to explain it.